Hello?
Hi, Janet. How you doing? Is this a good time?
I was expecting your call, so just bear with me. I just need to connect my headset. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is it okay for you if we record this phone call?
Yeah, fine.
Thank you.
I used to love sleep. I would crave sleep. I would crave the night. It's like a coziness, and that, is just completely gone. You wake up and it's pure darkness, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna look at the clock. It's gonna say 4 a.m. I'll take it. And you look and it says like 12, and you're like, what? How can I be wide awake? And that's the sleep you got. And then I want to hit everyone in the world who's sleeping with a pot and pan. I just have learned to adapt to maybe 2 hours a night. There are some nights that I feel like I could cry because I just want to sleep.
If I'm honest, when I first got diagnosed, I had no idea what was going on with my body. I was 16, I was still at school, and it only really started frightening me as I was sort of going out into the real world. That's where the insomnia started. I'll get a numb leg and it will freak me out because I convince myself it's completely gone. I guess because that fear is so big of mine that when my leg goes numb, I'm like, I have to convince myself it's still working. So, I know it will calm my brain down if I just give it a little test run at like whatever time at night. And then it's just a war with my brain and my leg until I fall asleep, basically.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, yeah. So just want me to start talking just now?
Yeah, we're recording now.
When I come home, I crash. Then when you wake up, it's like Oklahoma. Oh, what a beautiful morning, but everybody's going to their bed. You and the insomnia are the only two things in the world. You catch up on the TV that you've missed, or you play guitar.
What do you play on guitar?
Like blues, like Texas blues. Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's my hero. He honestly changed my life. I was told my whole life I couldn't do anything, but then when I heard Stevie, it was just like, my God, I need to learn to play guitar. I'm going to Texas this year to Stevie Ray Vaughan's grave. I'm just going to sit at his grave and play a song. I can feel my body changing sometimes, so I kind of feel like I'm against the clock a wee bit, and it'll be my last chance to say goodbye to Stevie.
Hello. Hi, how are you? I'm an American living in London, and I'm a writer. I was writing a book, and I got up at about 4 a.m. and then just wrote till maybe noon. Felt like I had no pressure and no one else in the house or in the world was awake but me. Once I spent a day with Joan Gideon, who has MS and has since the 1970s. That was helpful to me to think about how she repivoted and wrote more books and was able to be productive and to matter. You know, there's a lot of things you can do where you're more physically limited.
I'll wake up covered in a cold sweat. And then I'll write in a journal, because I realised it's important for me to take the thoughts from my head and write them down in a way to try and empty my head. Ultimately, after everything, it will just come back to the same point. I've got multiple sclerosis, and what am I going to do? And that's quite a sad thing to experience, especially in the middle of the night.
Were you a good sleeper as a child?
I think so. I don't really remember much pre-diagnosis.
During the night, that's when I find myself most at peace. But equally, I find myself lost. It's being reminded of things that you don't have, especially if it's things you used to have. I get quite bad nightmares at times.
You have nightmares?
Yeah, sometimes please forgive me, but I can't go into that. And if that happens, that's it. I'm awake. I can't get back to sleep.
So what do you do?
I'll put some music on generally. I'm a professional singer. I do a lot of classical opera music and stuff. But I'm a mosher at heart. I've been a metalhead for many decades now. People are like, eh? Sorry, you're a metalhead? And it's like, yeah. And I generally tend to go for metal during the night.
Where does your mind go when you're in bed trying to sleep?
I pray. I pray for forgiveness for my sins, and I pray that I can be a conduit to goodness. I don't know how I would be here without my faith and my ability to know that this is all transitory. So whatever happens here, I'll be okay.
Have you always been religious?
No.
One of the best ways of dealing with it is go into a separate room for my husband, turn the radio on, and let that wash over me, especially when the shipping forecast comes on. That often sends me to sleep.
The area forecast for the next 24 hours: Viking, northerly or northeasterly 4 or 5, occasionally 6 in east. Fair, good. North of Syria.
My father is a Japanese prisoner of war, and he said he was so lucky because he could sleep like a dog. You know how an animal would just lie down and put themselves to sleep? He said it saved him. He didn't talk about it very much, as you know, those sort of men were drilled into sort of coming home and not telling everybody how traumatic their life was and just to get on with it. And the other thing he taught me about forgiveness.
And did he forgive his captors?
Totally. Daddy, I said, you don't gain anything by being bitter and not forgiving. Whereas my mother could never forgive them. I think there's a wonderful quote. If you seek revenge, first dig 2 graves.
I developed a neurological condition called restless leg syndrome. It's really hard to explain. It's as though worms or ants are crawling deep, deep inside your legs. And it only happens when you're trying to sleep. And the main treatment is a drug called... Literally within a couple of hours of taking drugs, it stopped it instantly. It was like a miracle. The only problem with those drugs is after about 10 years, they stop working. And you develop something called augmentation. The drugs actually feed the condition, and the experts describe it as pouring petrol on a flame. It's an unbearable sensation that winds you up. I was literally twitching and spasming every 10 seconds. And I went for, wait for it, 3 weeks with no sleep at all.
What does 3 weeks with no sleep feel like?
You start to go crazy. I didn't think I could carry on. I honestly didn't think I could carry on. And the only thing that saved me was my adult children got hold of some illegal cannabis. And it allowed me to have 1 hour's sleep a night for 2 nights until the drugs were completely out of my system.
Hello?
Hello, is this...
It is, yes.
Hello. Is this a good time though? Am I bothering you in any way?
No, it's alright. I was just starting to play some music, that's all.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared of the dark. I walk about in the dark.
Am I at peace with it? Does anybody really make their peace with this?
I'll go so hard and so fast.
You just cannot imagine what that sky was like. It was like looking like an astronomy map, and the whole of the Milky Way and all the you could see all the galaxies going back. Well, nice to talk to you. Good luck with your film and whatever you achieve with it. Bye.
You start hearing the birds, and you're like, thank God, thank God. It's permission to start living.
The thing no one can control is the future. You know, am I going to be able to have kids, get married, like carry on my job until the normal age of retirement? Like all those sort of things that probably every adult freaks out about, but MS just makes it a little bit worse.
Dawn breaking when you know you're going to struggle to move is a hard thing sometimes when you have to get about on your hands and knees. The day, night, they don't mean anything.
If I don't sort out my sleeping pattern, it's going to have a major impact to who I am. It can't go on forever, you know.
I've been blind, I've been paralysed most of the 80s. I needed a wheelchair. At the minute I'm okay, but it could all crash and burn tomorrow. And, you know, I just sort of do each day at its time.
I no longer see sleep as the enemy. I just appreciate the sleep that I get. And that's actually transformed my life, that acceptance.
Even though I'm tired, it's a new day.